Real estate investors that's looking for funding for the next deal for cheap, stay tuned. This one is for you. So I'm going to go through and show you here exactly how I would get over 100K in cash for even a brand new business as a real estate investor, so I can use this for fixing and flipping my property, or again looking for that next deal. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And again, this is for the newer business owners and real estate investors. Even though if you're not a real estate investor, you're an aspiring real estate investor, or you're in another industry, this would still technically work for you too as well. But this is for real estate investors. Now, when it comes to lending, when you're not going the alternative routes like the hard money lenders and angel investors, here are the three main types of business funding. You're going to have business loans, business lines of credit, and business credit cards. Now, as a new business owner, you mainly will only be able to get approved for business credit cards because most banks are going to want 2+ years in business in order for you to get access to a business loan or a business line of credit. Even worse than having 2 years is they're going to ask for documentation. They're going to ask for tax returns. They're going to ask for business bank statements. And within those business bank statements, you better be showing 10K plus a month consistently in revenue. And for a lot of you guys, that doesn't work because especially if you're doing fix and flipping, you may have all your revenue come in at one time and you may not actually bring in a substantial amount for over 3 months, especially if you're working on a new project. So you may get 100K in cash in 1 month, but you may not deposit any significant amount again for another 6 to 12 months. So, all right, and of course, it can be less than that, but typically just saying as an example. So if that's the case, it's not going to work the best for you for bank statements because they're going to pull them meaning the banks are going to pull the most recent 3 to 6 months. And if you're not showing like consistent revenue coming in, business lines of credit is pretty much going to be out the window. And then again, from a traditional bank, business loans is not going to be the best option for you too as well. But you still can get access to business credit cards and borrow at 0% interest. So what is a 0% business credit card? Essentially a business credit card that even a new business owner can get access to that will give you an introductory rate of a 0% interest rate for anywhere up to 6 to 18 months. It depends on the bank and the card, but typically, again, 6 to 18 months with 12 being the medium there. Now, to qualify, you do have to have a great personal credit score, right? You're going to need a 700 plus, 720 to 750 plus to be safe. You want no derogatories. You want a 10K plus of a highest credit limit on your cards, 20K plus total credit cards, meaning if you got two credit cards of 10K, you added them together as 20K, then you would fit it. Your highest credit limit, again, typically 10K plus, but 15K plus is even better. And guess what's better than that? 25K plus. 3 years of solid credit history on credit cards, utilization 3 to 9%, and no negatives, no collection, no charge-offs, no late payments at all on auto loans or any other personal loans or even student loans, no repossessions, no other charge-offs, things like that, no child support, anything like that. You don't want that on your credit reports or it's going to hurt your chances at being able to get access to this funding. Now, when it comes down to the business, guess what? This is great. This is the part that makes this deal amazing. You don't have to have, a well-established LLC, even though it helps, but you don't have to have it. No business revenue required at all. No income or revenue verification is needed. You don't need to have a great business credit score or anything like that. But these things help, but you don't have to actually have it to get over 100K in cash for a business. So even a brand new business, less than 6 months, you will qualify for. Now, here are the 3 steps that I would take. If I was looking to get access to this much cash to fund my next deal, this is what I would do. So you have 3 main steps. Step number 1, you want to choose a tier 1 bank. Step number 2, you want to establish a relationship with that tier 1 bank. And 3, you want to apply for funding using the right banker. Now, choosing a tier 1 bank is everything because all banks are not equal. So you must understand which banks will give you the high limits and which ones don't. For example, Capital One. Capital One is not the greatest on the business side. Matter of fact, let me stop talking like that. I could be real with y'all. Capital One is just trash when it comes to the business side because number one, they report to the personal credit report. That's what you don't want. When you are going for business funding, you don't want that to hold down your personal credit score, right? Because if you borrow that money or you are using your limits on your cards and it drops your score, now you can't go get more of it. So it's going to throw you off. So you don't need any of your business credit cards reporting to the personal side, which I won't say a lot of them do, but some of them do out there. So you have to know which ones report and which ones don't. And Capital One, they do report. And number two, they pull all three credit bureaus, which makes it even harder to deal with when you're talking about applying for more funding and getting those inquiries removed. Most banks will only pull from one, max two bureaus. Capital One pulls from all three bureaus every time. So they just try to stay away from them when it comes to the business side. So that's why I said all banks are not equal. Okay. And relationships are very important because if you do not have a relationship before applying for funding, I'm telling you, you're not going to get the best limit, or you're not going to get the same limit that you would get if you went ahead and established a relationship first. And when I say establishing a relationship, sometimes it's only 1 week. Some banks more, obviously 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If you've already had a relationship with a particular bank, that's even better. But you don't have to have anything crazy there a lot of times. But if you have nothing at all, you just apply for funding without giving them money first, it may not work out the best for you. Just think about it like with any other relationship, right? It's just like just meeting someone, and I'm talking about a personal, intimate relationship. You're just meeting this person, and then you're already asking them for something. You asking them for money. You asking them for something else. You asking for a kiss or so. I don't know. You ask them for something before you've ever given them anything, or before you guys have established something together. Normally that doesn't work right. It's the same way with the bank. You don't want to go in. For most banks, some of them you can, just like in other instances. But for most banks, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go in without actually establishing that relationship first. It's really going to affect your approval odds, and it's going to drastically improve the limits that you get if you don't do it. So you definitely want to be careful there. Now, before we're talking about the 3 steps, let's break every one of them down again. Step number 1, choosing a tier 1 bank. As stated above, most banks are not willing to lend high limits without a year plus of established relationships with them. So most think that just applying for funding, you're just talking about business credit cards. I could just Google this, or I could just apply this. Yeah, cool. But again, if you're not choosing the right bank, it's just not going to work out for you. I promise you that. Okay. Even if it's a popular bank, this still doesn't mean that this is the bank for you. And that's what's really important, is knowing like what bank to go to that's going to give you the highest limit, depending on your situation and what relationships that you have, your personal profile, your time in business, the state that you live in, and the state that your business operates in, so on and so forth. So what is a tier 1 bank? I would consider a bank that gives out limits of 25K plus, that to be a tier 1 bank. Okay. Now, personally, here are some of the banks that I've seen a 25K plus limit on consistently, and the client did not have to have, or person did not have to have, this amazing 1 year, 10-year relationship or anything like that. Even with a newer relationship, what I would say is 1 to 4 months is a newer relationship. But even with that, they still got 25K plus. You got Chase Bank, American Express, Bank of America, Citizens, Key Bank, U.S. Bank, Citizens Bank, Wells Fargo, PNC Bank, Fifth Third Bank, and Truist. Now, these are not all banks. This is not every tier 1 bank. This is not an exhaustive list. I'm just giving you an example if you're looking to do this yourself. So you would have an example of some of the banks that I would consider to be a tier 1 bank. Now, there are some smaller banks and credit unions that would also fit the mold here, but just in case you don't have access to those, or you don't know which ones to go to, I'll give you some of the major banks that do. Now, you can go to bankbranchlocator.com and choose your state to see which banks are in your area. Okay. Now, for step number 2. Remember, that was improving your relationships or starting a relationship prior to funding. So the common misconception is that you can apply for funding with no relationship with various banks and still get approved for high limits. But again, as I've said, this could not be any further from the truth. Like, most banks would not want to give you money unless they know you. All right, now let's be particular here when it comes to building a relationship. Now, within this step number 2, let's talk about step number 1, opening a business checking account. And if you really want to mix it up, you can even open a personal checking account, but it depends. You don't have to do that, but it helps. Okay. It really shows the bank that you're looking to go all the way in. Now, step number 2, you want to fund these accounts or account. Okay. In this case, fund your business checking account. How much cash is in your business checking account directly affects your approval odds. Banks will classify how much cash is in your account by a term called bank ratings. And here are the bank ratings on the screen. So you have low 4, which is 1K to 4K. Do I need to read all these? I think you get it. It's on the screen right here. Mid 4, high 5, low 5, mid 5, and then high 5. High 5, baby. High 5 to you too. But given these ratings here, I'm going to tell you the minimum you want for high limits consistently. You don't have to do this, but if you were looking to get high limits, low 5, 10K to 40K, it's definitely going to be the best. Okay. Now, step 3 is apply for other products. This can be a merchant account, a personal checking, a savings account, a personal loan, an auto loan, a retirement account, if they have that, if the bank has that, so on and so forth. Just building more of a relationship because you have other products with that bank. The more products you have, the better the chances of being approved for a higher limit. Now, step number 4 is you wait the proper time before applying for funding. Now, again, it really depends on the bank. Some of them you can jump right off the boat. For the clients that come in, for what I do help my clients, which are business owners and real estate investors, get access to capital to start, grow, or scale their companies. When they come in, we're looking to get them a quick win if it applies. We never jeopardize their funding strategy for it, but if we have an opportunity to go for someone within 1 week, we're going to apply right then and there, baby. And some banks are like that, but most of them are just not. So you need to know the proper time that you need to wait before applying to as well. Now that's all that's left to talk about is how do you apply, right? How do you actually apply for funding? So number 1, you can just go online, go to the bank's website. If they have an online application, you could do this, but some don't. Now you could choose the 0% business credit card that you want because obviously they need to have that as an offer. So you do need to check that, by the way, and make sure if you don't know beforehand, if they have a 0% business credit card or not. You fill out the application and boom, you've done it. Now you're at the mercy of the algorithm when you do this. So that's kind of level 1, but it depends on the bank too. All right. I know I've said depend a lot, but it does. It's just nuance. All right. So that's level 1 for the most part, but not every time. Level 2 is going to be in branch, where you can go to your local branch if your bank has one in your area, right? And you deal with a banker that you build some rapport with. You don't want to go to a banker you've never really dealt with, if you can help it at least. So you have them fill out the application, you have your data points and everything ready, and then boom, you've applied. Now, my favorite way of doing this, especially depending on the bank, is going to be level 3 with a business relationship manager. And this is oftentimes a cheat code to get approved for higher limits even faster. Okay, most business relationship managers, they have other perks too as well, where we have banks that oftentimes will 100% require for a person to go in branch to open up a business checking account. They can do it virtually, where normally you can't do that. And say if they need to request a higher limit, they got to approve, but then we want to go for a higher limit, they can do that request for them. Things like that. So we have a business relationship manager for every tier 1 bank that we mentioned earlier, and that's why we consistently get high limits for them. And the cool thing is that most business relationship managers, they will require a minimum of $1 million in business, or your business has to generate $1 million before they let you get access to them. But since we've built so many relationships, we have over 30 relationship managers that we work with. I help my clients actually get access to them so that way they can get higher limits and higher approval rates. And without a business relationship manager, by the way, you are at the mercy of the algorithm when it comes to going down for your funding. So it's going to make it very hard to get this amount. So that's what you do in order to get the funding. You can work with someone like me, or you can go out there and do it yourself. Working with someone like me, the pro is that you're 1000% going to actually get access to it much faster. It's going to be a lot less pain going on there, or it's going to be painless, or at least a lot less pain, I should say, than trying to go out there and do it yourself, especially if you're not an expert and you don't do this every day like I do, then you'll never beat me. You're never going to do it as fast or do it as efficient as I would. But con is that you have to pay. But if you're someone that don't mind making an investment into yourself and your business, then that's not really even a con. But of course, you're going to have to pay. The pro is that if you go by yourself, you don't have to pay. It's by your own pace and everything else. But the con is that you don't have the experience that I do. So it's up to you to determine which one is going to be best for you, right? Like some people want to do this themselves and some people want to pay somebody to do it. It's all up to you. I make these videos for both individuals. I promise it's cool. If you don't want to pay, I promise you it's cool. Like no hard feelings. Just keep watching and implement the things, and let's get it done either way. I care about you getting funding more than I care about if you actually work with me. Just get it done. Now, once you actually have the funding, this is the next step. It's kind of, we go back to the same road when it comes down to how you're going to liquidate them and get cash from them. So you only have two different ways of doing this, essentially. Step number one is, well, not two, you have two different methods. You're going to do it yourself or you're going to pay somebody. Okay. Now, if you do it yourself, here's the thing. You absolutely can do it yourself. Here's the method. Essentially, you're going to need a third party. All right. A third party meaning, and they have to be someone that you know, love, and trust. And why, you're going to know here in a second. Okay. Very shortly. Now, you're going to have a third party that you know, love, and trust. They're going to send you an invoice using any type of merchant account that they have access to, like a Stripe or any type of merchant account that third party has. Okay, so this can be a friend or a family member or something like that. But I wouldn't do your spouse, especially if you guys have the same last name. I would not do a spouse or anyone that shares like your last name. It would be better if you did it with anyone that doesn't have your same last name. It's possible, but it's just less risk there. But anyways, so they're going to send you an invoice. You're going to pay it. All right. And then that money is going to go back to them, and then they wire it to you or however they want to transfer it. That's the method that you would do if you do it yourself. Now, you can pay someone to do it for you. The pro is that more than likely it's going to go 1,000 times smoother unless you have experience doing this. It's going to go 1,000 times smoother doing it that way than it would be like trying to figure it out yourself if you're not familiar with it. If you're familiar with it, just do it yourself. If you really know what you're doing, you could do it yourself. But if you don't, I'm telling you, it's like a little bit more nuance to it than what you would think. But either way, you can pay them. And normally it's only 4 to 6%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link another video where I went through and talked to one of my partners, Gray, about how to liquidate business credit cards by using his company. You can do that as an option. That's exactly what I would do. That's what I did do. That's what I would do. But again, you can do it yourself if you want to. And this is how this is how you are able to pull this much cash. We just had a client, he pulled $70K cash off of the funding that we got him. Another client that was at like $40K, and another client just recently did like $15K. So it really depends on the client and how much cash that they're looking to pull. But these are all very recent that we had clients pull this cash. But you can go to any amount. If you do it the right way, you can pull 100K. You can pull 250K in cash. It really depends on the limits that you hit and that you have access to and the method that you actually do to pull the cash off of the cards.